Why, hello, all you folks out there in YouTube land. Thrash Pondo here, and I'm doing my special Skip the Oscars live chat. I'm a little early because I was having bizarre technical problems earlier today. I decided to go a little early just to make sure everything was going smoothly. So, for those of you who tune up late, please don't think you missed anything. It's just I came on a couple minutes early, and Rachel in the 208 is here and says hello. Rachel, we have a winner. You're the first one tonight. My flock is everywhere, Sister Sarah. Sister Sarah says hi, Pawns. Sorry I couldn't make it to your live show Saturday night, by the way. I was just Mrs. Thresh and I were binge watching, well, lots of stuff actually. Oh my god, John Collins is here. Johnny, good to see you, man. Welcome to the show. So glad you could make it. Oh, Sean's here. Sean Ennis is here. He says good evening. Um, my vlog says it was Thursday. Oh, I saw it on Thursday, but I thought that you had another show going on Saturday. But either way, I'm sorry I missed everything of yours, regardless of which it is. And oh, BK on the air says, "Hey, thanks for coming on the show today to add to the Gene Hackman tribute, buddy." Um, that was actually yesterday, wasn't it? Or is this a very long day? Yes. Yes, I was briefly on blah, 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 I'll come in again. I was briefly on BK on the air. I want to thank you, Barry, and of course Alan for having me on again. And it's always a blast to contribute to your nostalgia show. I absolutely love it. And Sarah says, no worries. And Rachel says, do I win a prize for being first? Bragging rights. And yesterday, sorry, yes, don't gaslight a guest, Barry. It's very unbecoming. And oh, thank you for the link, Sarah. That's very kind of you. And she gives emojis, hit that thumbs up and share out and comment after the show, please. And or thank you. What she said, by the way, likes, subscribes, follows, forwards. If you have your own channel and you want to simulcast me, go ahead. Go ahead. God, I've forwarded everyone else's show. Someone else might want to just forward mine. And Tom is here and says, hi, everyone. Tom, so good to see you, my brother. And Christopher Wilkinson's here says, good evening, Bob. Good evening to you, Christopher. So good to see you as always. And John says, I think this topic will be very interesting. Artie Johnson. Very interesting. You would part the very interesting. And I'm actually caught up. That's unusual. And well, we were six. Well, we're up to 8 people now and only 3 likes. Come now, people. We can do better than that. Wajimeen here says, hello, everyone. Hello to you too, Wajimeen. So good to see you by the by. Always nice to have you with us. And again, this is going to be, I guess you would say, an anti-Oscar, not anti, a skipping the Oscar show. But if you want to talk about past Academy Awards and your favorite old Academy Award winning films, that'd be awesome. I decided, and I know some of you folks, by the way, don't like it when I get maudlin, but we lost a lot of very, very, very dynamic people in the last few days. So tonight's trivia is going to be on folks we've lost. Now I had to kind of skew it because thankfully there weren't 10 people we lost in the last few days. So 3 of the questions are going to be Gene Hackman, but all the other folks all got a question for themselves. And it's the only thing I can think of to do in the way of a tribute. And I'm still caught up. Go me. A lot of people having fellowship, saying hello to one another, and that works. Sarah, thank you for another link. John says, Bob, how many subscribers does your channel have now? About 430 something, not quite 440, 430 something. I kind of flatlined it. I'm not sure why. New people join. You know what it is? Little known fact here. When you subscribe to people, that's great, but YouTube knows the sympathy subscription angle. So if you subscribe, but then you never go to the channel to watch their content, it deducts the subscription from you. I probably well over 500 people by now, which isn't 1,000, but it's a lot closer than 400 and change. But it's like, I'll get like Chrissy at Brain Benders and Banter. She got me like 10 in one day. I was psyched. And then I lost eight of them because they just subscribed and then they never went back to my channel. And sadly, that's part of the game. You need content hours, you need hits, you need people to actually watch your stuff. That's why I was like, guys, even if you have to leave the room, if you want to like put on one of my playlists and just go, that would be an absolutely extraordinary help. That would give me hits and watch time. Yeah, I've assembled a lot of playlists, and a lot of them I think are really fun themes, and some of my better content. So again, if you're ever away from the computer and you want to just go, oh, I think I'll watch Thrash Pondo playlist, blam, that would help me out immeasurably. In fact, I think I'm going to start begging you people to do that. Let's just see. What do you mean? It said 4:30. Oh, so it is 4:30. Okay, I knew it was 4:30 and change. Apparently, it's 4:30 even. Let's just see. Cindy D is here. Says hello. Cindy D, my lady, I'm so glad you decided to join us. You are always, and I do mean always, welcome. Christopher Wilkins said the actress who played Dawn on Buffy the Vampire Slayer has passed away. Yes, I always get her name wrong. I'll try. It's Trachtenberg. Well, let's go with Trachtenberg. That's the closest I can get. But yeah, from what I understand, she had a liver transplant, and of course, as you guys know, when you have organ transplant surgery, it because of the drugs they give you, so that your system will accept the new organ, it wreaks havoc with your immune system. But anyway, she was only 39 years old. Heartbreaker, heartbreaker. And Sister Sarah says, "Yeah, number one watches me." Oh, no, I thought it was number one. No one watches me. I hear, LOL. I watch you all the time. In fact, I've been sharing your stuff left and right. You, Danny, and even Steve from the Life and Sad Ending. I always ask permission. That's why there are a few people who said, "How come we don't repost my content?" I think it would be a breach of etiquette if I don't have permission first. For example, what you mean? If you want me to like repost some of your jokes, I would be more than honored to do that, my brother. And Rachel says, I want to help Thresh. Count me in. I almost said Cindy. Rachel, you are one of the good ones, and thank you. And Cindy says, hello to everyone. And John says, Bob, I'm starting YouTube Premium tomorrow. Really, really? Let me know how that works, by the way. I've heard of it. I have no idea. I've had no feedback on it. So let me know how it works on your purpose. Oh, by the way, tell you what I'm going to do. What's a good day this week to try to give you a call? Remember, I promised you like 2 weeks ago I tried to give you a call and I never did. It's not that I forgot about it. It's just that for some reason, now that my restaurant is closed down for the season, I seem to be busier not working than I was when I was working. It's weird. I'm going to give you a call this week. I promise. I promise I'm going to give you a call this week. Hold me to that. Gary's here says, hi there, everyone. I'm back. Yeah, you said you were having some trouble with your phone, by the way. So any weird shenanigans that happens in the comments with your name on it, we'll give you a hall pass on. Yes, Gary, it is the Oscar night. Oh, and look who is here. Superplex himself says, good evening, Superplex. It is always awesome to see you, my brother. Mi hermano. Mi hermano. And Rachel says your restaurant is closed. Yes, yes, it's closed for renovations. At this point, because Christopher, you were asking too, I should probably. At this point, I don't think there's any harm. The building is actually up for sale, which doesn't necessarily mean they're closing it. It might just run while they're trying to find a buyer. But um, yeah, it closed. It usually closes this time of year for the season. But let's just say it might be a longer season. But I worked there for a number of years, and I will miss the place terribly. And hey, Christopher and his father, Mr. Wilkinson, will attest. We had some pretty good food, didn't we? Didn't we, brothers? And Cindy says, hello, Thrash. Sorry, I've missed your show. Been hanging out with my family since My twin passed in December. Again, terribly, 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 terribly sorry for your loss. Cindy, more than understand. And family is very, 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 very important. Even more important than thy. So I more than understand. I'm glad you're with us tonight, though. And oh my God, Tracy Bubbles here says, hi, guys. We were on Tug's show today, and Tracy was wearing her Thrash Bondo shirt. It was a really awesome color, too. It's like a charcoal gray. I decided to go with black because when I see a red door, I want to paint it black. But Tracy, I am honored. I am honored that you bought the shirt. And Zublik says, "It is always awesome to hear you two. To do you, thank you. You're very, very, very welcome." Gary says, "I know they don't know what happened to her." Oh yes. It's still they're not sure, but my guess and I should have prefaced that it was a guess. My guess is that, she did have the liver transplant, so in my guess, it was probably related to that, some kind of rejection of some kind, and thank you, Sister Sarah, for the, uh, link. Zulik says, "So your job is up in the air, T-Pawns." Well, I'm on unemployment now. I've been on unemployment now for a bit, because, we are closed. We'll just have to see what happens, won't we, gang? I'll keep you posted, I promise. I keep you do I look worried? And, Cindy says, "Thank you, Thrash. You guys have helped me so much." Well, that's why we're here. We love you, Cindy. Trey says, "I love that shirt." Me too, me too. Zubik says, "My condolences to Cindy D." That's very, very kind to you. John Collins says, "Tomorrow at 5 p.m., 5 p.m. West Coast time." I thought you live in Florida. I did. I thought you lived near Braden. But anyway, we can confirm. We can confirm. Christopher says, "I am sorry, Cindy." Tracy says, I enjoyed being with you guys. Tracy, you're amazing. You are based. You are awesome. It's always great to be with you, Tracy. And oh, Sarah says you're most welcome. Yeah, no, Sarah, you're most welcome, and you're based too, and epic. You're epic and based. I don't know which of those is better, or even if you can use them in tandem, but you are both. Zubik says, just as I predicted, the darkness has descended. Has descended. You know, it's been one wave of darkness after another, but hey, it's always darkest right before things go totally black. Central time. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. You're West Florida, which is actually goes into another time zone. So that would actually be 4 o'clock my time. Um, I got some errands to run with my mother tomorrow. I'll try if I'm a bit late. Would that be cool for you, bro? I'll text you at some point. We'll firm the time up then. Does that work for you? But yeah, we will pencil in um 5 p.m. your time. And Tracy says Sarah is the bomb. She certainly is. She certainly is. So let's see, we're up to 11 people now. Hey, 11's not bad. 11's not bad. It's still kind of early days yet. We would have only started about 5 minutes ago. Anyway, Emily Miller is here. Says, "Hey y'all." Emily, it's so good to see you, my sister. Great to have you with us. Thank you. It says, "Batten down the hatches time." The hatches are battened down. Well, batten them down again. We'll teach those hatches. I never understood that joke as a kid. I never. People had to explain it to me multiple times. I never. It just didn't make sense to me. And John says, "Bob, that would be 6 your time." Oh, duh. Because I'm later than you. Because the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. You're right. 6 p.m. would actually probably be better for me too. So, but anyway, either way, I'll still shoot you a text to let you know if that is doable. And Gary says, "It's Oscar time again." It certainly is, which is why I'm here. And Sarah says, "Hi, Emily. You're so freaking funny, sister." She certainly is. Love the stuff that you post on Facebook, by the way. That stuff is a riot. And John, you are 1 hour ahead of me, yes. And uh, I'm still caught up. Good. And again, tonight's trivia is going to be trivia questions based on celebrities we have recently lost. Zublik says it's a maritime reference. You batten down the hatches when you realize that bad weather is approaching. Mike Silva's here. Says great. Mike, I thought you were going to a game in Rhode Island with family. Well, I'm glad you somehow managed to join us for at least a portion. Oh no. Zublik's what is saying is there's an old, I think it was an old vaudevillian bit where whoever is being boss says batten down the hatches, and a subordinate shouts back, "The hatches are battened down." And then Bugs Bunny did it once in one of his bits, I think with a kangaroo for some reason. But he goes, "Batten him down again. We'll teach those hatches." And what he was saying is, beat him up and then beat him up some more. But when I was a very young child, it took a while for that to process. And a lot of people are saying hi to Mike and Zuper. And Mike says it was over. Providence bums won. Oh, yeah. Who are they playing, by the way? But yeah, Providence. That's a tough town, particularly East Providence. Um, but I'm glad you can make it tonight. Um, Providence. Is it Burns or Bums? Well, I'm gonna go with Burns. Providence, Burns, Connecticut. Sounds like a post-apocalyptic short story. Sean says, "Huh? I think the Oscar coverage has knocked out my Hulu account." Oh no! Oh, Mike says, "Why East Providence?" I had some friends from there years ago when I was a kid. They were always telling me how tough East Providence was. At least that's what they told me 40 years ago. And John says, "Bob, when you call, we have a lot to discuss. My simpatico minded brother. We certainly do. We certainly do." And Sean says, "Yeah, I can't get on Hulu, but everything else in the package works." Huh. Huh. Is that a separate account? Is it all one account or do you have to pay each of them separately? Sometimes that's the problem, I know. And Gary says, "Sean, the Oscars aren't like they used to be. Nothing is like they used to be." But we were actually talking about that on Tug's show earlier about how the Oscars have just, he doesn't even seem to think they're particularly relevant anymore. And I don't think they've been relevant for a while. And Mike says, "Not really. I have family there." Oh, okay. So disregard. My buddies from East Providence were probably just trying to pass themselves off as tough. Everyone's from the tough part of town. Yeah, we're street, we're yeah, tough. Um Trey says, "I can't with the Oscars." Me too, me too. And Emily says, I haven't watched the Oscars in over 15 years. You haven't missed anything apart from Will Smith making a jackass of himself. That's right. I went there. And Sean says it's through Hulu package with Disney and Max. Yeah, they bundled mine too. Yeah, it's not a huge deal. I'll watch the highlights on YouTube anyway. Yeah, they'll break it down. There'll be people who actually thoroughly break it down. I'm sure. Trey says, but did you know I haven't seen a single Oscar nominated movie? Isn't that wild? Yeah, I'm a movie buff, but I'm vintage. I'm old. I'm classic movie. They don't make classics anymore. Classics aren't what they used to be. And Trey says, "Thanks for sharing my link, Sarah. Isn't she wonderful?" And then Gary says, Sean, they are live from LA for opening." And Mike says, "Crow, bring out your dead." Bro, I thought that was Eric Idle. And the book says, "Folks, T-Pawns will soon need to go fund me account due to unemployment." I think a lot of us will. And Emily says, "I'm still Team Will." Team Will? Will Wheaton? Will Ferrell? Will Clinton. And Sean says, hey to Gary and Wedge. And Zublik says, Will the Stapinator, Emily. And Mike says, give me 12 Angry Men movie. Oh, exactly. Like old stuff like that. John says, Bob, simpatico does mean like minded, correct? Yes, yes. It's a Spanish, and it's basically, well, um, Zuplex could probably say better than I could, but it means to get along with, be on the same page with. Yes, muy simpatico, muy simpatico. That was the adjective I was going for, and you did a fine job. And Gary said, I haven't seen it since I got the phone, and they don't do it live on my phone, just on TV." And John says, when I lived in and worked in LA, the uh, PR blitzes in the trades were outrageous. I can only imagine. And Mike says it's MST3K. Oh, I know, Crow from MST3K. But I was making a joke because Eric Idle said it in the original Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And Christopher says, I am Team Emily. Well, aren't we all? And Emily says, with the size of my hands, I wouldn't want to be slapped by him. Oh, of his hands, with the size of his hands, I wouldn't be slapped by him. Oh my God, if Will Smith actually hit a lady on national TV, he wouldn't have gotten away with it. I'm really sad he got away with it with Chris Rock, but no, that would have been woo. Oh, he says Will Shatner, of course. This really says or Will Forte. There's a lot of Wills in the industry, isn't there? And Mike says, beware of the blob. It creeps, it leaps, it glides, it slides across the room and right through the door. Beware of the blob. Anthony says, my twin and myself birthday was February 24th. We did a balloon launch in her memory on Friday. Oh, that is so sweet. That is so sweet. Da 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 Batman. And Emily says, Team Emily is a smart team to back. It certainly is. And Gary says, Will Shatner is 93. He wants to play Captain Kirk again. Hey, well, they got Michael Keaton for Batman. CDD says, RIP Roberta Flack. She made the list. And Gary says, Gene Hackman, of course, definitely. He's huge. So Luke says, Roberta Flack died. Yes, a couple days ago. Very sad. But yes, she died a couple days ago. John Doe is here and says, let the tournament begin. Definitely, definitely. How about some monster truck fighting? And Emily says, Gary, there is no other Kirk. Exactly. And Cindy says, hello, Emily Miller. Thank you. Tracy says, loved Roberta. She was amazing. She was an amazing singer. A lot of people are Willie Shatner, Rachel included. And Tracy says, Emily is the coolest. She certainly is. Sean says to Zublix, I can't tell you how many times I've listened to First Time. So it's more than just the one time, but a bump. And Zublix says, condolences to Mrs. Flack's family. And Mike says, Fingal, fresh air, servo, Times Square. Dun 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 dun, Times Square. You were my wife. Goodbye, city life. And Emily says, Tracy, now that my hot flashes are over, I can agree. And Mike says, Crow to the computer, hey, Hal, why don't you go on break, huh? And Cindy says, loved her duets with Donny Hathaway, Tracy. And John says, one thing about Gene Hackman passing is that I hope they focus on the humanity of the people and not simply and the circus like ways the media is covering the circumstances around the passing. Definitely, you are so correct. John Doe says, May 3rd, Monster Jam is going to MetLife Stadium in East Rutherford, New Jersey. I'm going to attempt to go there. I hope you enjoy yourself. I hope you enjoy yourself, John. That sounds like fun. And Sean says, oh, Tracy agrees with Cindy. And Sean says, still, I agree with my mom. She was a great singer. And Rachel says, Green acres are the place to be. Farm living is the life for me. And Tree says, Cindy, Roberta had the voice of Angel. She certainly did. And Mike says, Mike, we'll return to days of our fingal after this. And Gary says, guess what? Next Tuesday is. Next Tuesday would be the one that's coming up the day after tomorrow. It would be the 4th. March the 4th be with you. March 4th. I was close. Hi, Mrs. Thrash. Mrs. Thrash came in. March the 4th be with you. Or just March 4th. And let's see, Sean says to Cindy D, yes, Hathaway was better than the Bebo Bryson duet. I met Peebo Bryson. I should get his name right. I met the man. I met Peebo Bryson at one of my conventions for Suncoast 25 years ago. The VeggieTales Christmas movie had come out, The Nuttiest Nutcracker, and he sang one of the tracks on it. And as a surprise, they actually got him out on stage and he sang it. He took off right afterwards, but he high-fived me as he went, and I said something, and he said something back. I forgot. Mrs. Thrash is rolling her eyes at me. I don't know because I'm making a huge deal out of what's really nothing. But it's the little victories that I have to afford myself. Everyone's saying hi to Mrs. Thrash. Somebody says she did the closer I get to you. Where is the love? She certainly did. A lot of people saying hi to Gary's. Oh, it's Gary's birthday. Oh, happy birthday, Gary. Prelated. And Gary says, John C. He's great in Superman 1, 2, and 4, plus the Birdcage and the Poseidon Adventure. I couldn't agree with you more on all of those. Again, a lot of people say hi to Mrs. Thrash. Acidity says, happy early birthday, Gary. And Acidity says, message retracted, and a message retracted to you. And Sean says, not that Peebo Bryson isn't great. Hathaway's with Flack is just magic. And John Doe says, Lebanon Speedway in way upstate New York has top fuel racing like fire burning funny cars. They use nitro, not gas or diesel. If you so when they go, it's a rocket ship on wheels, known to explode. Wow, that's crazy. As it says, Mrs. T. Pons and Mama T. Pons is worried about the household bills. I'm collecting at the moment. Like I said, I'm collecting, and this is a slow time of year anyway, so it's probably about the same. It's a push. And so it says, is it Gary's birthday Tuesday? And well, he's thanking everyone for saying happy birthday. So I'm going to go on a limb and say that, yes, it's his birthday. Happy 29th, Gary. Happy 29th and March 4th. Getting parched. Look who's here. Look who's here. Chance is here. Says, hi, Thrash and Chet. I got to pass this on, by the way. I don't know if any of you guys, there's a new series coming out. It's called The Grosse Point Murders, I want to say. Chance is actually in episode 4. So if you watch the show, watch. I'm actually waiting. I'm gonna binge watch it when it comes out. Mrs. Thrash wants to watch it too. She's like, oh my, you know the guy in it. So yeah, we're gonna watch it. But yeah, he's in episode 4. So if you do watch it, watch with Mr. Bartel, and thank you for joining us today. It was great hanging out with you at Tug's channel earlier too. Cindy says I played Beauty and the Beast. His duet with Celine Dion is better, Gary. Oh, Classic Video Game 45 is here. Me don't have birthdays. Oh, Classic Video Games, I'm sorry to hear that, but thank you very much for joining us. John says, I have to tell you all something. I have totally cut the cord. I don't even have a cable replacement, so I hope the apps are sufficient enough for us going forward because everything has become so. It certainly has. It has gotten crazy. And John Doe says, Last bit, top fuel goes from 0 to 300 miles per hour in a quarter-mile track. That is a rocket ship. That's crazy. And I'm just gonna skip. Oh, Cindy says, "I liked it and played it all the time on my cassette player." And we're talking Roberta Flack, of course. And Tracy says, "It was fun with you guys earlier. It certainly was." And Sean says, "I've seen the promos for Gross Point. It looks like a good show. It looks like so. I was, Mrs. Thresh and I were gonna give it a shot anyway, but when we found out Chance was in it, it's like, yeah, definitely." And Gary says, "Cindy, I love that version and Angela Lansbury version as well." And Gary says, "Tracy, I was there and I got messed up." And Emily says, "John, I'm paying for Netflix to rewatch Supernatural again. Then I'll rewatch Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Not getting Prime again until it's time for The Boys." Indy Spouts is here. Oh my God, Indy, so good to see you. Indy's here and says, "All right, I'm here. Fun's over." No, actually, you're right in time because in a few minutes we're going to start the trivia. It's going to be all related to celebrities we've recently lost. Alan Chan says, "Did I miss the Gene Hackman trivia?" No. Again, the trivia game is going to start in just a few minutes. And John says, "Bob, what apps do you have?" Um, uh, I almost never use apps. I got some on my phone, but I never use them, so I'm not sure. Um, and Tracy's it is outrageous. And Brian from Music, Movies, and More with Brian is here. Says, "Hey all, Brian, so glad you could make it. Please, somebody give Brian a link to his channel. And Chance a link to his channel. I'm sure everyone has already signed on for Chances, but please do. And Emily says, "Indy, I'm gonna have fun just to spite you." And Sean says to Chance, "Nope, haven't started." Oh, well, start. And Zupla says, "No, the nostalgic, the trivia is on celebrities who have passed on." Yes. But then again, Gene Hackman does fall into that category. And John says, "I missed Collector's Call on Me TV." I don't know if I've seen that one. No, I'm not familiar with that. Sorry. And a lot of people saying hello to one another. Cindy says Gene Hackman turned down Mr. Brady. That is one of my favorite trivia questions. That is one of my favorite trivia questions. And Jen says Grosse Point Garden Society episode 2 airs on Sunday at 10 p.m. on NBC Peacock. It's a dark comedy. And yet you're in episode 4, correct? I believe you told me you were in episode 4. So a Grosse Point Garden Society. Where did I get Grosse Point Murders? But yeah, Grosse Point Garden. Kurt Buggins' murders in it. Grosse Point Garden Society. And John says, "So Bob, does that mean you have cable?" Yes. Yes, at the moment I still have cable, although I'm sick of it. And John says, "The best Gene Hackman movie is playing Lex Luthor in the original Superman, hands down." That's how I first met him, by the way. In fact, I mentioned that on Barry's show the other day. Um, as far as I was concerned as a kid, there was before Superman and after Superman for Gene Hackman. After I saw him in Superman, I remembered him in everything. But and chances tonight at 10 p.m. on NBC, that is. And let's just see. Gary says, "Cindy, I saw a recent picture of him. He lost so much weight and he looks like a walking skeleton." Oh dear, that's sad. And Indy says to Emily, historically a popular choice. And Shin says, "Thanks for the plug, Thrash." No, my pleasure. Always my pleasure. And Jen says, "I still have cable to Xfinity." Emily says, "Which is a rare occurrence for me, Indy." Thank you for the link, Tracy. John Orchard is here by the speaking of links. Please give John Orchard a link. John, it is so good to have you with us tonight, by the way. Thank you for joining us. We're just about to start the trivia. And Gary says, "No, it wasn't." And he walked with a cane. Wow. And Emily says, "We just have internet and apps." Oh, and John doesn't mention Popeye Doyle from the French Connection. Oh, Face the Ace is here. Says, "Hello, Mr. Pons. Face the Ace, so good to have you with us. Welcome to the. We're just about to start the trivia. So, because what happened to Lance? That's a good question. He was ill the last time I spoke to him, but that was a couple of weeks ago. Lance, if you're watching and just not saying, or if you're watching repeat, um, hello, we're all thinking about you, and we're hoping that you are doing well. And Brian says the Chamber was an awesome movie with Gene Hackman. I actually never saw it. I actually never saw that, but I'll take your word for it if you say it's good. I believe you. And Gary says, "Did y'all see him in the Birdcage?" I did. He was amazing in the Birdcage. Great cast. That movie had a great cast. And a lot of people saying hi to Face the Ace. And Sean is like saying hello to Lance. And let's see. On that note, you know what? Why don't we just start the trivia? Why don't we start the trivia? Oh, and Johnny says hi, everyone. It's a couple minutes early, but I think if you were going to be here for trivia, you'd be here by now. So, anyway, again, it's on celebrities that we have recently lost. And as always, I'm going to give them to you in no particular order. Number 10. Late great Hollywood legend Gene Hackman played this role in the classic comedy Young Frankenstein. A. Inspector Klemp. B. The Blind Man. C. Igor. Or D. The Monster. LCD says, I liked movie Gene Hackman. He did about Sterling Orphans with Hugh Grant. I don't remember the name of it. He was evil in it. I don't recall that one as well, by the way. Anyway, let me repeat the question. Late great Hollywood legend Gene Hackman played this role in classic comedy Young Frankenstein. A. Inspector Klemp. B. The Blind Man. C. Igor. Or D. The Monster. Sterling Organs autocorrect. Oh, okay. Thank you. Gary Cameron says, John says potatoes. Ooh, potatoes from Pod People. Ooh, little potatoes. Gary says Bonnie and Clyde was his first movie. He actually did a few before that. That was the one that put him on the map. His first movie was in like, oh wow, like 1950 something. He was a gangster movie, and he had to walk on as a cop. And he says Extreme Measures is an organ movie. What didn't Miguel Ferrer do an organ movie? Anyway, the correct answer is B. He played the blind man. Stole the movie. Stole the movie. That's an actual amazing, amazing scene. And now to number 9. R&B singer, songwriter, and producer Angie Stone also had a featured role in this reality show. Was it A, R&B Divas of Atlanta, B, R&B Divas of LA, C, R&B Divas of the Jersey Shore, or D, R&B Divas of Martha's Vineyard? I shall repeat. R&B singer, songwriter, and producer Angie Stone also featured in this reality show. Was it A, R&B Divas of Atlanta, B, R&B Divas of LA, C, R&B Divas of the Jersey Shore, or D, R&B Divas of Martha's Vineyard? Give a few more seconds. Sean says, "Oh my god, I am glad I don't know this one." I didn't say you had to watch it, just that she was on it. John does this. I saw Dennis Hopper on Petticoat Junction recently. Yeah, he did a lot of TV. Well, not a lot of TV, but he did substantial TV before he became mega hit. Of course, he did that really famous Twilight Zone episode, which I can never remember the name of it. It's one of Mrs. Thrash's favorites, so she's always correcting me. I think it's just called He's Alive or something like that. With the guy who played Hochstetter in Hogan's Heroes. And Zubik says, has anyone noticed T. Pons' glasses hanging on Godzilla? Oh yeah, yeah. Um, he it's a phone holder, And when there's no phone being held, it looks weird. It looks like he's like waiting for someone to throw him like a beach ball. So I decided he should be carrying something. So I put glasses and a deck of cards, you cads. And he says, "I've never heard of this person. It's R&B. I'm guessing Atlanta, I suppose." Wow, even when you pick wild guesses, yes, she actually was from Atlanta. She was from Atlanta. And so yes, she did divas, R&B divas of Atlanta. Number 8. Baseball legend Bob Uecker did a famous series of commercials for this beer. Was it A, Old Milwaukee, B, Bud Light, C, Miller Light, or D, Genesee Cream Ale? I shall repeat. Baseball legend Bob Uecker did a famous series of commercials for this beer. Was it A, Old Milwaukee, B, Bud Light, C, Miller Light, or D, Genesee Cream Ale? And wow, I actually got some people to give the wrong answers. I thought that one was a giveaway. Um, but hey, um, I'll give it another a minuet. Oh, Facey Ace is giving us a SpongeBob in green. John says, "If you know what Genesee Cream Ale, you will thank God it's only brewed in one place." Oh, you remember the commercials? Genesee is believing you can count on Jenny Taste because it's brewed in just one place, which is the Adirondacks. Anyway, somewhere in upstate New York. But John, very good little catch there. Yes, and I like the cream ale, and it's like $12 for a 30 pack. Oh, you lived in upstate New York. I think you mentioned you lived in upstate. I know you lived in San Antonio now, but I believe you mentioned that you were from upstate New York or from the state of New York, maybe not necessarily upstate. Um, but anyway, the correct answer is actually Miller Lite. Miller Lite. I must be in the front row. He did a series of commercials for Miller Lite. There were plenty did Bud Light, but yeah, he was Miller Lite. Emily says, "I remember Bob, but none of the commercials." Oh, come on, his commercials were legendary. And Sean says, "Jenny Cream Ale was my first drink, and I lived." And John says, "B, Bob, any updates on Ian?" I hear from him every now and then on Facebook, but that's about it. And he says, "Sean, did you live? You shouldn't see me now." And Gary says, "Cindy, I used to know a couple of red-headed twin sisters that I couldn't tell them apart. They were identical." Well, so true identical. And John says, "Imagine if Gene Hackman did a movie with Don Knotts. That would have been epic." And Chan says, "I get the X." Facier says, "Thumbs up." And Emily says, "I don't know, Sean. My dad drank Pabst Blue Ribbon." I actually, when we lost Dennis Hopper, as a tribute to no, Dennis Hopper was in, when we lost David Lynch. I'm sorry, when we lost David Lynch, I went out and I got Pabst Blue Ribbon because that was the beer of choice in Blue Velvet, which was starred Dennis Hopper, whom we've also lost. But I digress. Oh, ENC did a video recently. Thank you, Zuplex. I did not know that. I did not know that. Rachel says, "I was born in Genesee Hospital." No kidding. No kidding. And Cindy says, "That's cool, Gary Carpenter. We were brunettes." And we're not doing scores yet, John, but I'm glad you're 3 for 3. Um, Sean says Pat Blue isn't the worst. No, it certainly isn't the worst. And Gary says, "I really did enjoy the movie The Terror with Jack Nicholson and Boris Karloff." They shot that film in 2 days, so you got to give them mega kudos. It's a good film. I actually own it. I think I own a couple of copies now that you mentioned it. But anyway, question 7. John Lawler of Facts of Life fame was a guest star of this show Thrash is bizarrely fixated on. A, The Walking Dead, B, The Big Bang Theory, C, Fargo, or D, Breaking Bad. And I shall repeat because somebody told me I missed up the question there. Anyway, John Lawler of Facts of Life fame, he played the headmaster in the first part of the series, was a guest star of this Thrash is bizarrely fixated on series. Oh, Denny's here, and he says, "I liked." Thank you. We like you too. Was he a guest star on A, The Walking Dead, B, The Big Bang Theory, C, Fargo, or D, Breaking Bad? And that is a toughie because they're all good answers. Hmm. Give you guys a second on that one. I still see answers coming in. Da da da. Geneseeing is believing. You can count on Jenny Taste because it's brewed in just one place. Oh, and what was the other one? Didn't Narragansett have a jingle too? Or there was another beer. There was another beer company in the region that had a very catchy slogan. Was it Narragansett? I can't remember now. It'll occur to me at 4 in the morning, and I'll like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. And he says Breaking Bad. That seems your cup of tea. I love all those shows, but yes, you are correct. The correct answer was Breaking Bad. Number six, and then we'll get scores. Number six, David Lynch made this film to lampoon various shenanigans he experienced in Hollywood. Was it A, Mulholland Drive, B, Lost Highway, C, Firewalk with Me, or D, Eraserhead? And I shall repeat. David Lynch made this film to lampoon various shenanigans he experienced in Hollywood. Was it A, Mulholland Drive, B, Lost Highway, C, Firewalk with Me, or D, Eraserhead? John says, so when Lawler passed away, did it make anyone try meth? Asking for a friend. I'd like to think not. I'd like to think not. Oh, and you guys get this one out of the park, with one exception. Um, Lost Highway. I mean, if he had weird phone conversations with Robert Stack, no. But anyway, that would be weird. Although Patricia Arquette is a goddess in that movie. Um, I even like her better as a brunette. But no, the correct answer is in fact Mulholland Drive, and Superplex is 1 out of 5. Blake, thank you, Robert Blake. What did I say, Robert? I can't remember what I said now, but it was wrong. I said Robert Stack. I said Robert Stack. Yeah, Robert Blake. What you mean is 4 out of 5. Tracy is 3 out of 5. Uh, Brian is 4 out of 5. Sean is 3 out of 5. Rachel is 5 out of 5. Excellent. Zuplex is blank. Robert blank. Um, John is 4 to 5. Emily is 4 out of 5. Through sheer luck, we'll give it to you. Cindy D is 4 for 5. John Doe is banana. Devil bunnies. I snort the nose Lucifer. Banana, banana. Banana, ooh, nana. He took me to meet his nana, ooh, nana. And Gary says, Robert Blake was in the Our Gang series. Yes. Yes, he was. That was actually my favorite trivia about him. Any more scores? And Rachel says, "Why did you sound surprised by my score?" No, oh no, 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 no. I wasn't surprised. I was proud. I was proud. I go five. It's tough to get 5 for 5 on one of my trivia, so I was pleased as punch that you got. 'Cause you put the exclamation point, so I was just sort of. But no, I'm not surprised at all. John Collins is 4 out of 5. Indy is 5 for 5, thanks to an incredible impression of Fred Astaire tap dancing through the minefield. I love tap dancing in a minefield is one of my favorite expressions, by the way. And I can't tap dance. And Tom says, "Hi guys." Oh, Tom, are you back? You were here earlier, so hi to you as well. Welcome back. You're just in time to play the second half of the trivia game. And a lot of people saying hi to Tom, and Chan says, just like Jackie Cooper, Perry White in the Chris Reeve Superman movies, was in Our Gang and Little Rascals. That is like super cool. That is super cool. And Gary says that was when he was a kid. He went on to be Beretta and Helltown. He did do Beretta. He did do Beretta. That's what he's actually best known for. And Emily says can't roller skate in a buffalo herd either. And you can't take a shower in a parakeet cage, and you can't take a shower in a parakeet cage. And Cindy says Beretta with Robert Blake, great theme song. Yes, and he had a cockatoo too, didn't he? Cockatoo too? Cockatoo as well. Anyway, moving on to number 5. Oh, and again, a couple of these are Mr. Hackman because I had to round it out to 10. So number 5. Mr. Hackman played a Polish general in this historic themed epic. Was it A, Reds, B, Bat 21, C, Behind Enemy Lines, or D, A Bridge Too Far? And I shall repeat. Mr. Hackman played a Polish general in this historic themed epic. Was it A, Reds, B, Bat 21, C, Behind Enemy Lines, or D, A Bridge Too Far? Oh my, he was in Cold Blood? I completely forgot that. I've got to see In Cold Blood again. I gotta see. And what was the one that had oh, the Leopold and Loeb case? Oh, that's a good one too. I want to do a double feature now. I want to do In Cold Blood and the movie about the Leopold and Loeb case, which is killing me. And I can hear Mama Thrash screaming it at the TV screen right now because I know she knows it. But yes. Anyway, you guys all seem to get, or most of you seem to get it. It was in fact D. Fridge Too Far. He plays a Polish general in that. And Tom says, I met Anne Margaret at the Hollywood show in January. Oh my God, that is so cool. So it says compulsion? Maybe that just doesn't sound right, but maybe. And so he says, yes, he sung it. Well, Tracy. And he says it is compulsion. It is compulsion. Okay. So that's if two people say it, as far as I'm concerned, that's true. Um, uh, and Gary says, Tom, you didn't tell her I said hi. And Shan says, same with Scott Walker, who many years later was Herschel in The Walking Dead. He was in our gang. Oh my God. I did not know that. I did not know that. That's a very cool fun fact. Thank you. Thank you. And anyway, moving on to number 4. David Johansen, aka Buster Poindexter, formed a famous musical group with whom? A, the Stooges, B, the Banshees, C, the New York Dolls, or D, the Goo Goo Dolls? I shall repeat. David Johansen, aka Buster Poindexter, formed a famous musical group with whom? A, the Stooges, B, the Banshees, C, the New York Dolls, or D, the Goo Goo Dolls? And Tracy says, and McRock. Tracy, I could have sworn you would have said the Banshees. John Doe says the B Sharps. I'll give it to you. Denny says definitely the Dolls. And John says Crimson Tide is so good. It certainly is. And yes, it was C, the New York Dolls. It was the New York Dolls. Number 3. Famous music artist Roberta Flack was an avid supporter of the ASPCA and permitted this hit of hers to feature in their ads. Was it A, You've Got a Friend, B, First Time Ever I Saw Your Face, C, Where Is the Love, or D, and I apologize for this in advance, Killing Me Softly with his song? Serious for a second. 3. Famous music artist Roberta Flack was an avid supporter of the ASPCA and permitted this hit of hers to feature in their ads. Was it A, You've Got a Friend, B, First time ever I saw your face. C, where is the love? Or D, no, I can't say it again. Yes, I can. Killing me softly with his song. Let's see. Cities, I agree with John Collins. It certainly was. Gary says Anne Margaret is afraid of horses. Remember, she was in the Train Robbers. Oh my God, she was, wasn't she? Um, John Doe says Scooby Doo, where are you? Emily says B, I hope. Cindy says, at least it wasn't. Do you remember me? um. Oh, and John, while C, Where's the Love would have been relevant, it was first time ever I saw your face. I assume the faces of the animals the first time they saw them and her heart melted. And thank you for taking the joke answer in stride, everyone. Number two, which of these films does not feature Mr. Hackman as Lex Luthor? And if you were paying attention earlier, someone gave the game away, but that's good. It shows if you're paying attention. Was it A, Superman 1, B, Superman 2, C, Superman 3, or D, Superman 4? And I shall repeat. Which of these films does not feature Mr. Hackman as Lex Luthor? Was it A, Superman 1, B, Superman 2, C, Superman 3, or D, Superman 4? Oh, Gary said she used to be a teacher. And Margaret? I believe it. If she could teach me anything she wants. Ooh, Mrs. Thrash heard that one. Uh, ooh. And yeah, John says, I'm hot for teacher. Oh, and oh, Chance, we're gonna accept that. The one that Tug mentioned today, yeah, Tug and Chance are actually going to be doing a special in a couple weeks on this one, and yes, it is Superman 3, which is C. And Cindy says LOL Thrash. And Tracy also says LOL. Yes, I'm a scamp, aren't I? And Sean says, come on, Mrs. Thrash and Margaret. No, she knows. She knows that I'm a pig too. I was a pig when she married me. Not much change there. And she's like, and Sean says, come on. Oh, yeah, I read that one. And Emily says, pretty sure Gary was saying Roberta Flack was a teacher. Okay, that makes more sense. No offense to Miss Margaret. And the number one, I keep trying to keep it shut. And the number one, number one is former child star Michelle Trachtenberg. I hope I said it right that time. Mother is from this heroic, courageous, inspiration to the entire world nation. Was it A, Puerto Rico, B, the Ukraine, C, Canada, or D, Denmark? I shall repeat. I'll try to. Former child star Michelle Trachtenberg, mother, is from this heroic, courageous, inspiration to the entire world nation. Is it A, Puerto Rico, B, the Ukraine, C, Canada, or D, Denmark? John says, anyone agree with me that it is somewhat ironic that the ASPCA does commercials where they leave the animals in the cages just enough to film them for the commercials? Does anyone else find that wrong? My guess is they're not the ones shooting that footage. My guess is photojournalists submit the footage to them, which is possibly even sadder because that means we don't know when the dogs were eventually rescued. But it is sad. That footage always makes me very sad when I watch it. In answer to your question, and Gary says, Cindy, I'm not sure what kind of teacher she was. Music? I'm guessing music teacher. And Emily says, John, it's all about pulling the heartstrings. It certainly does. And Cindy says she would have made a great music teacher, Gary. Yes, that's my guess as well, by the way. And let's see what we've got. And that seems to be Gary also thinks she was probably a music teacher as well. The correct answer was B, Stand on Ukraine. And anyway, how about some scores, gang? Tracy got 5 out of 10. She was a music teacher. Oh, it is a known fact. Suplex is 5 out of 10. Rachel's 9 out of 10. Still just as proud of you as always. What you mean was 9 out of 10. Sean was 8 for 10. Brian was 8 out of 10. John was 8 of 10. That seems to be the score of the night. Danny was My brain isn't working. That's quite all right, Danny. Just having you here is enough. And Cindy says, thanks, Tracy. I didn't know that. And Ellie says, I think 7/8 out of 10. We'll give you the 8. And Gary says, some agents saw her singing somewhere. I'm not sure where it was. And he says, I got the cube root of 1,000, which is, of course, 10. But out of how many? And Cindy was 8 for 10, and Gary is 810. I'm assuming you mean 8 out of 10. And Jay says, yep, Cindy. And John says, probably around 6 out of 10. We'll give it to you. And Gary says 8 out of 10. And Sean says, you get a 7 because you still like Will Smith, LOL. Oh, when you said you were still Team Will, it never occurred to me that, Will. It's a free country. Well, but yeah, if you still like Will Smith, that's fine. I know a number of people do. I just feel bad Chris got rocked. And I do like the video California knows how to party by as you know, Jada directed it. But she's such a snot rag. She really is. And John says, Bob, isn't it interesting that all the nonprofits which have commercials all prefer the same amount of money a month, $19 a month? We learned that in marketing class. Under $20, our mind thinks chump change. $20 and more, it's a commitment. So if you're under $20, the greater number of people, it skyrockets. It's the percentage increases exponentially. So you actually make more money by telling people $19 a month and losing $1 per person, but you get umpteen more people than going for the, say, $20 a month and getting a fraction of the amount. But yes, that is why they does that. Entry says, LOL, Robert. Rocked. Robert rocked. I do. And Zubik says, never going to be invited again to the Oscars. That's for sure. Good. If he wins another Oscar, which I doubt, but if he does win another Oscar, they should mail it to him. And Cindy said she was a great arranger as well. She rearranged the song "Killing Me Softly." It was a cover. Oh my gosh! There's a bell ringing in my head. Yes, Foremost Content is here. Sorry, I'm late. Are we talking about partying like it's 1999, or we're partying like it's on sale for 1999? But yes, Foremost Content. Thank you so much, and thank you for joining us. And he says, "Hey Bob, did you see my post on Tug's chat earlier answering your question about Stevie Wonder being Muscle Beach Party?" Yes, thank you. I did see that. I'm sorry I didn't say that out loud, but I do remember you posting that. Thank you. And a lot of people saying a little form. And Emily says, I also like J.K. Rowling's Say Something. No. No. I like J.K. Rowling better than Will Smith. And oh, that's a fun game. Pick a really, really horrible person and Will Smith and have to say which one you like better or which one you'd rather be stuck in an elevator with. But somebody told me that would get ugly real fast. So we're not going to do that. But it sounds fun. And Emily says, you form you missed the trivia. Like watch and rerun. Thank you, Emily. And John says, Bob, I'll tell you a secret when I do give to nonprofits, I prefer just to give the flat 250 as opposed to the monthly commitment. I usually just give them like 20 bucks and I don't like to commit to anything. So I'll give them 20 bucks and just scoot. And Zublik says Lance is still MIA. Unfortunately, yes, but we give him a shot. Let's give him another shot. Everybody say hi to Lance in absentia. We miss you, Lance. Hope you're doing well. Gary says J.K. Rowling is a wonderful writer. I can't agree with you. Disagree. I can't disagree with that. Rachel says Will Smith is friends with Diddy. That didn't do much to help his cause, did it? Something just happened with Mrs. Thrash was telling me something happened with Diddy. Something that made it even carrier there. I know, right? And oh, his lawyer quit. His lawyer said, "Yeah, I can't do this." When your lawyer quits on you, that's not a good sign, people. And he says, "Speaking of young rascals, earlier I thought a great skit would be kids starting in the roles of a Scorsese classic called Our Gang of New York." Oh my god, that would be a riot. That would be an absolute riot. That'd be. I actually came up. This actually popped in my head. Um, Star Trek. So it's on SNL. They're doing a Star Trek bit. They get somebody else besides Bo and Yang to play Sulu, and halfway through the skit, he like crashes it like Louis Gossett did in an episode he did years ago. He just crashes it and has like a psychotic break because he can't figure out why didn't you cast me to play Sulu, and just goes on a rant, and that's the whole joke of the sketch. And let me know in the comments below if you think that could work. Gary says, "Farm, forget those. Duplicate message on my phone has a mind of its own. What doesn't?" Form says, "Indy, I would Otay that project." Oh, I love it. Otay. Brian says, "Miss you, Lance." Thank you. A lot of people saying hello to Lance. Thank you. That's very nice of you all. Emily says, "Smith versus anybody who supports a certain and I'll always choose Smith." I know what you're driving at. Thank you for speaking in uh emoji, but I understand what you're saying. And Sean says, Lance, where are you, buddy? Yes, indeed. Everybody's saying hi, Lance. That's very kind of you people. Sean says, I forgive you, Emily. Gary says, oh, Lance is sick. Get well soon. Okay, that makes I thought he was not feeling well, but yeah, get well soon, Lance. We're all pulling for you. I'm at 250 a year, not a month. I figured it was just give him 250 period and not like do so every year and then next year revisit the matter. Cindy says working the nub, and Emily says watch your language, Cindy. And Gary says Thrasher said he was under the. Oh yeah, that was a while ago. That was the last time I spoke to him, which was a couple of weeks ago. He was ill. I thought somebody found out recently he was sick again or still, but either way, we are pulling for you, Mr. Luntz. Luntz. And yeah. And yeah, get well soon. If in fact you are sick, get well soon. If you just are too tied up and can't make it, we understand there too, buddy, and we're sorry that you can't make it. Oh, by the way, before history rolls over it, Lance, Ian posted another video on YouTube. If he did, do you know which channel he did it under? Because that came as a complete and total surprise to me. He's forwarded a couple things on Facebook, but I didn't know he actually posted anything on YouTube as of recent. And Cindy says that's Eddie Murphy as Buckwheat. Emily Miller. Oh yeah, Eddie Murphy did Buckwheat for like years. Oh, and remember he did a cover of "Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand," which I believe was Minnie Riperton. But make this world a better place. Ip do tan. Eddie Murphy was a national treasure. He's alive. I mean, I don't make it sound like he's not with us anymore. But yeah, no, I do remember his buckwheat bit. And oh, it was on his retro channel. Huh. Good to know. Thank you. And John says, "Oh, yes, always revisit the matter. It's never a guarantee." There you go. Thank you. Now I'm with you. I'm with you. Uh and Emily says, "I totally forgot about that Cindy. I remember it now. I remember Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. And of course the bit he did where he was in whiteface. I think that's to this day one of the funniest things SNL ever did. What are you doing? I'm buying this newspaper. Danny says, "Good night, all." Danny, get some rest, buddy. Hope you're feeling better. It says you're like in another world tonight, so yeah, get some rest, bro. And Tracy does say retro cereal. I'll have to check it out. I'm surprised it wasn't in my subscription suggestion because I'm still subscribed to Mr. ENC. And Gary says, Cindy, I'm not sure if Eddie Murphy met the original Buckwheat or not. No, I reasonably certain he would have been dead by then. I'm afraid. I'm afraid. And Zibble says Samuel L. Jackson as Stymie. Ooh. And he says, Unce, Tice, 3 times, a matey. Always gets me, the ladies in the mood. And Rachel is also saying good night. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us. By the way, good night. Thank you for joining us. It's always great to see you. And Cindy says, working the nub. Working for nub in all the wrong places. Working but yeah, now it's making sense. At least as much as anything does to me. And Sean says he just did a funny one on SNL 50. It was a scared straight thing he did. Was he doing it as the urban poet? I wish I could remember his name. Superplex will remember because apparently the guy he actually mentions the high school Superplex went to school in, but he was this sort of very angry urban poet, and I loved the sketches. Yeah, I hate white people because they is white. And if what I just did was racist, I apologize to anyone. But it was more of an homage to Eddie Murphy than well, anyway, you know where this is going. And Cindy says, yes, Thrash, my buying this newspaper. Yes, I'm buying this newspaper. And Mrs. Rogers, yes. And a lot of people saying good night to the people who are leaving us. And he says, Gary, you really need to brush up on the buckwheat skits. And Gary says Stymie and Stan Hardy were good friends after he passed. He gave him one of his hats and he was buried in it. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I did not know that. Gary, thank you very much. And Sean says, to me, he was using movies to describe prison life. Oh, I didn't see that. I'm gonna have to check it out. It sounds excellent. And simply says Eastern District High School, the worst in New York City. Yeah, suppose this guy actually mentioned the whole thing started out as a mentioning of that high school, but the character was so well received. Eddie Murphy did him in a couple. One of the best ones is they're having a poetry read, and he shows up, and it's all these very effete New York intellectuals, bougie intellectuals, and he keeps making fun of them, and it's an absolute riot. Emily says, I mean, I kind of agree with that thrash. Well, thank you. And Tracy says, this has been more fun than the Oscars will ever be. Oh, Tracy, thank you. That is absolutely, absolutely amazing for you to say. Gary says, oops, I mean Oliver Hardy instead. Oh, okay. And Indy says to Gary, and I assume you meant Oliver Hardy. Yes, there you go. Yes, Oliver Hardy. And that actually makes sense, you know. um, and Laurel and Hardy. And Christopher says, good night, Cindy and Emily. And Gary says, Tracy, this is more fun than a barrel full of monkeys. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Gary. That's very kind of you. And Emily says, good night to Chris. Chris, take care. Have a great night. Thank you very much for joining us. Say hi to your dad for me. Lupin says, Cameron Diaz is Darla. I was thinking more Kat Dennings. And Gary Carpenter says, India, I just corrected it. And Sean says, the best line combines Harry Potter with a certain risk in prison. And Christopher says, good night. Yes, good night, Christopher. Thank you very much for joining us. And again, say hi to your dad. And Emily says, Gary, I'm not sure just how much fun a barrel of monkeys would be if you're stuck in the barrel with them. Remember, one of the funniest bits they ever did on Family Guy was he talked about if it would be like if monkeys took over a theme park, and the wife said, how? And he goes, the hours would become erratic, maintenance would suffer to a degree. And don't call me on these things. And Gary says, I had a crush on Darla. I thought she was the cutest thing ever. And I don't, honest to God, I don't recall. I don't recall, but I'll take your word for it. Oh my God, Snark Sass is here, and she says, "Boop eyes," and boop eyes to you too, Snark Sass. So glad you can make it. We're actually wrapping things up, but it's always nice to have you with us in these last few minutes of the show. Zubin says Leonardo DiCaprio as Alfalfa. I'll buy that. Although Benedict Cumberbatch would be great too. Although I am I the only person who thinks it'd be great if his middle initial was Q? Benedict Cucumber Patch. Um, Gary says, M, it's an old joke, and it was on Bewitched. And Indy says, to Emily, maybe that's how monkeypox started. Emily says, Gary is much older than Bewitched. And Gary says to Z, I can't picture him in that role as a kid. And John says, Christopher Walken as Alfalfa. You are so beautiful to me. It's best I can do on such short notice. And Emily says, India, I wouldn't be surprised. Zublik says, as an adult, Gary. And Gary says to M, that was on before I was born. Batman was off the air when I was born. Me too. Well, I was born in 67, so close. A lot of people saying hi to Snark. Sean says, boop right back at you, Snark says. Speaking of people we haven't seen, well, Lisa Fields wasn't here tonight, by the way. Lisa, I hope you're doing well. But Daryl Johnson, I talk to him on Facebook now and again, but Daryl Johnson, we don't see him much anymore either. So, Daryl, if you're lurking and about, oh, and Kevin Lambert, shout out to Kevin Lambert, by the way, from the entertainment headquarters. He actually asked me if I was on tonight, but again, it's like 1 a.m. where he lives in the UK, so I'm not surprised he couldn't make it. And because who would play Butch? Um, let's see. Butch would have to be played by anybody I can think of is dead. The first thought that popped into my mind was Rowdy Piper. Living, I'd probably go with Jason Momoa, but you have to shave the facial hair. Indy says, thanks for the trivia, Bob. Oh, you are so welcome, my brother. You are so welcome. And Cindy says, I'm never going to fall in love again because you, Darla. Oh, that's sweet. And Emily says, Christopher Walken can dance. May I reference weapon of choice? He did a Moby video too, by the way. He's actually a very, very good dancer. He actually went to school. He was going to be a song and dance man when he was getting ready to go into entertainment. And let me well played, Emily. And Gary says, nope to her. Anywho, we're down to like 6 people watching. Oh, boopies for all. Yes, boopies to you too, by the way. Thank you very much. And Cindy says Dolph Lundgren Thrash could play him. Yeah, he certainly could. John says next week we need to think of replacements for the Waltons. Them like Little House on the Prairie. That could be a blast. That could be a blast. Everybody hold off on John Boy. Nobody shot another John Boy yet. We'll talk about that next week. Emily says boobies back at you. Anyway, guys, had an absolute blast tonight. Didn't miss the Oscars at all. I hope you guys didn't either. It seemed like most of you had more fun here than there, and I thoroughly appreciate that. Any last minute topics you want to throw in? Now's the time to do it. I do have. There were a couple of projects I wanted to get out last week that I just couldn't do it. Like I said, for some reason, I'm busier when I'm unemployed than I'm unemployed. Well, on hiatus, not unemployed. That's a much kinder term. But again, the things I didn't do last week, I'm going to do this week. Um, Possibly. Gary says to Jono not to mention Bonanza and the Wild Wild West. Living in the Wild Wild West. Boom, the Wild Wild West. Uh, Jonathan says, we found it, pawns. We certainly have. And Cindy says, have a great night, everyone. Don't watch the Oscars anymore anyway. A lot of people don't. Danny says, happy trails all. Danny, I thought you already crashed. But anyway, again, have a great night, my brother. And we'll talk to you very, very soon. Zippily says more Richard recaps, perhaps. 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 There's no reason why we couldn't. Gary says, good night, Mrs. Calabash, wherever you are. And Emily says next week the replacements. We replace actors on classic TV shows. Danny, and if you're still here, Sister Sarah, are we? If I think we're doing a collaboration next week, and I think that would actually be a great topic for the three of us. I think we all have opinions on it. So yes, that's a great idea. So long as WWW doesn't include Will in the cast. And Tracy says, Nighters all most definitely. Gary says, good night, everyone. Zubla says, good night to Danny. Sean says, good night, all. Tom says, haven't watched the Oscars since Star Wars lost to Annie Hall. Wow. That's going back a bit. Wasn't Close Encounters up that year too? But yeah, I remember I thought Star Wars got gypped. And John says, I think audience participation would be interesting. Like in Rocky Horror, most definitely. And what it means is good night, everyone. Thanks for the fun. Have a great week. All definitely, definitely. And where have you been, Thomas? And let me say good night. And yeah, Thomas, he's still around. I think his job makes it so that he can't come all the time, but he's here tonight, and that is double plus good. And anyway, so like I said, I think I'm going to call it tonight. For those of you who made it tonight, thank you so much. For those of you who couldn't or watching and rewatch, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, and remember, everybody has a homework assignment. Sometime when you're only half watching the computer and it's on, and you just want to like go to Thrash's channel and just put on one of my playlists and let it play through. That'll give me watch time and viewing hits, and I would really, 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 really appreciate it. But anyway, and I'll hopefully have some new content for you, and that will be your reward, new content. Oh, and Zupil says, check the unemployment pages, T-Pawns, help wanted. And John says, done. Thank you, John. I knew I could count on you. And Gary says, same bat time, same bat channel. Oh, and as I always say, by the way, if I miss anyone's comments, by the way, I do apologize. When I'm interacting and doing the comments, sometimes I miss a few. Also, a lot of times I think people are just saying hi to one another. And I've missed a few people because of that, where I think you're just saying hi to one another and you actually said, no, Bob, I was talking to you. Well, I apologize. But anyway, smash the button, as John says. And guys, until next week, be good, be safe, be careful. And I'm looking forward to seeing you guys again very, 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 very soon. Peace.